Hello and welcome back. My name is Liliana Blackstar of Heskia's Muse, and I'm bringing you another little astrology update. This one is for January 14th through 19th, the last 5 days of Capricorn season. So we're going to get into it. I hope y'all had a really great full moon in Cancer that was yesterday, and we are going to look at what is happening for the rest of this week. So, first of all, the sun is in the third decan of Capricorn. The third decan of Capricorn is the last 10 degrees of Capricorn. And in astrology, each of the decans, like there's three sections of each sign, and they're 10 degrees each. There's the first, second, and third section of each sign, and those are called decans. They're 10 degrees each. And the entire sign of Capricorn is ruled by the planet Saturn, but each decan has a different planetary sub-ruler. And through the system that I use, the sub-ruler for the third decan of Capricorn is the sun. So we can look at this final section of Capricorn as having both Saturnian and solar energies. So our planet of the week, if you will, is the sun, and that we can try to think about the sun and what energy that brings, especially the sun being in the sign of Capricorn and in this final decan of Capricorn. What does that mean? What does that bring us? So in astrology, the sun represents the core essence of our individuality and vitality. It is the central luminary of our solar system, and so that symbolizes our source of light and life, illuminating the traits that define us. So your sun in your birth chart illuminates the traits that define your personality and your vitality and like what you are, what energy you're showing up to or showing up with. So the sun's placement in a birth chart signifies the primary focus of your energy, showcasing your strengths, ambitions, and creative expression. It represents the conscious self, the awakened mind, and the way that you seek recognition, express individuality, and just the way in which you navigate the world. My cat is about to knock stuff over. Kitty! The sun's astrological nature is to bring this illumination and vitality and inspiration and ambition and creativity through whatever sign it is in. So the sun is in the sign of Capricorn and has been for a little while now. And we're in this last final stretch of the sun in Capricorn. So we're really like bringing it home. The sun in Capricorn really emphasizes the importance of responsibility, practicality, and having a patient and practical approach to success. So, this transit of the sun in Capricorn encourages us to build a solid foundation for our ambitions. It's what do you want and how are you going to go about getting it? Let's make a plan. Let's take some rational and practical steps to get that thing that we want. So Capricorn's influence on the sun brings this focus of integrity, determination, and like endurance to all of that solar energy of individuality and self-expression, right? So the sun really helps illuminate Capricorn's strong drive for success and brings energy and vitality to our ambitions and goals. So during Capricorn season, we are often finding ourselves motivated, thinking about the future, making plans, making resolutions, setting new goals, etc. Because the sun is vitalizing our desire for our own individuality, and through Capricorn it is bringing this like determination for success and hard work, strategic planning, responsibility, etc. Since our planet of the week is the sun, I have pulled the Sun card from the Astro Codes, the Star Codes Astro Oracle deck. And I really love this beautiful deck by Heather Roan Robbins, and I wanted to show you the card. I'm going to put this card on my altar this week. If you have an altar or a shelf or a shrine and you want to put a representation of the sun out this week, just to remind you that this is a good week to work with solar energy. And I'm going to read what is in the guidebook for this card for us. So the sun's light shines through the teacher, the actor, lover, leader, those who use their enthusiasm, warmth, and charisma for common good. It's time for you to take center stage. Let the sun's light flow through you and shine, illuminate, and energize your surroundings. And use this to be of service. Notice what feeds your vitality and work with it. As you let the sun flow through you, your health will improve. You will draw support through your energy and enthusiasm. Step into your potential. If you are asking about a project, notice how the vitality flows through the design and clear the path. Let the situation be a channel for the sun's energy and feel it take on a life of its own. The challenge of the sun is that narcissism is the shadow of the sun's energy, the false belief that I am the center of the universe and you are not. Learn to earn the attention that you receive and the respect that you receive rather than to demand it. And the gift of the sun says, this sunlit moment is an opportunity to let your ego step out of the way. Let the sun's light flow through you and let spirit do the work. Shine wholeheartedly and share the warmth with friends, family, your community, and the world. Make it an offering. Live the truth. Wonderful. That is our oracle card for our planet of the week. And then with astrology and tarot, we have each of the decans associated with a tarot card. So the tarot card that is associated with the third decan of Capricorn, so with those last 10 degrees of Capricorn, is the Four of Pentacles. Since this decan is subruled by the sun, this card can also be seen as a card of the sun in Capricorn. So the Four of Pentacles, I have this one here from the Modern Witch Tarot by Lisa Sturl. The Four of Pentacles symbolizes a state of holding on to material stability and security, sometimes to the point of resistance to change. In this card, a figure clutches onto Four Pentacles, creating a sense of possessiveness and guardedness. This card suggests a focus on financial or material concerns, and it emphasizes the importance of stability and the desire to safeguard your resources. There is a correlation with Capricorn, as both this card and Capricorn share a penchant for practicality, a strong work ethic, and a desire for financial security. However, the Four of Pentacles can also serve as a cautionary reminder about the potential pitfalls of being overly conservative and resistant to change. While you are holding on to what you have, there are many experiences happening elsewhere that you might be missing out on. So we have to find the balance. We don't want to just squirrel away our resources and never use them. We want to use our resources to live our life, right? But we also don't want to use our resources irresponsibly and then not have them for when a need comes up in the future. So there is a balance here in this card of knowing when to spend and when to save. It encourages this balance between the pursuit of stability and the openness to new opportunities that might lead to personal and financial growth. So you can also place this card on your shrine or altar as a reminder this week to think about how you are balancing out the use of your resources. What are you putting away into savings? And are you using the resources that you have wisely and still letting yourself enjoy your life a little bit and live a little bit, and you're not just like putting it all away for some future day that may or may not come. Right? Balance. So also, I have a rune of the week for us. So I am looking at, a runic fortnight. A fortnight is a period of 2 weeks, usually divided by phases of the moon. In a lunar month, the month begins with the new moon. And so there will be 2 weeks starting with the new moon and 2 weeks after, and that's one fortnight. And then another fortnight that begins with the full moon and lasts for the 2 weeks after that. And I know not everyone has the same system for understanding a runic fortnight, but how these runes align with these fortnights is there's 24 fortnights in a year, and there's 24 runes in the Elder Futhark, so some people like to align these and put them together. So in the system that I am using for the runic fortnight that began with the Cancer full moon on January 13th and then lasting for the next 2 weeks, we have Kenaz. This is the rune of torchlight. Imagine like this is like, so it's also, keywords are torch, beacon, knowledge, discovery, learning, and illumination. We need to bring a torch or a source of light on our journey. A torch will illuminate the path ahead of us and light our way in the darkness. And we can also light a fire as a beacon to help other travelers find their way, helping those who are lost in the darkness to find their way. This is true literally and metaphorically. We can think of the torch or the lamplight that leads us, literally lighting the way, and we can think of it as the guidance that we receive that leads us to discovery, and it leads us to new knowledge or learning something new that illuminates our minds. So when we learn something new, we often say like, oh, a light bulb came on, right? Or we saw the light. And this is like that illumination that comes from Kenaz, the torchlight. Fire itself represents both knowledge and how to gain knowledge. So the knowledge of how to make and tend a fire must be learned and passed on. And then around the fire that we build, or through the firelight of the torch, we can gain more knowledge about all the other things in life. So we have these light bulb moments, or the lights came on, or just simply a moment of enlightenment when we learn something new and we add more knowledge to our bank of knowledge and the things that we know. So Kenaz represents these moments of gaining knowledge, as well as the tools or guidance which helped us achieve that knowledge or enlightenment. It is the torch fire. It is the torch itself. It's the light itself. It's also the lighthouse or the signal fire or the beacon that we build to help others find their way. I can see the Capricorn archetype here because the leadership and wisdom of our elders who light the way for us. Elders and tradition are associated with Capricorn energy, and those are the ones who are lighting the beacon and holding the torch for us. And then the strategic responsibility that is required of the one who carries the torch, the leadership that's required of the person who carries the torch. At the beginning of the line, imagine like you're leading a group of people. You have to be very responsible with this energy, right? You have to not only know how to take care of the fire to keep it lit, but know how to light the way appropriately for yourself and for others. And then finally, there is some ambition with the torchlight, we light a torch or we turn on a light because we are going on a quest for knowledge. So there is some ambition there. I want to gain new resources, new knowledge, something that's going to help with all manners of success. So Capricorn wants success, and it knows that it's going to need knowledge and tools and resources in order to gain that success. So then we have the ambition to get the torchlight and peer into the darkness and start looking into the future. If you want to also place Kenaz on your shrine or altar for the week for some meditation or guidance, or just to remind yourself to think about this energy a little bit as we go on with this week. Okay, so moving on to some astrology of this week here on today when I am filming this. It is January 14th. It's the day after the full moon in Cancer. The moon has entered the sign of Leo in tropical astrology, and it is that moon in Leo is in opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. So that can feel very intense. We have this Leo energy. Leo is ruled by the sun. So again, we have more of this solar energy, but it's being challenged by this opposition with Pluto in Aquarius. Also today we have Venus squaring Jupiter and the sun in opposition to Mars, and Venus coming into a conjunction with Saturn. So these are things that are going on through this week. The Mars and Sun opposition are going on for the next few days. The Venus conjunction Saturn going on for the rest of this week. And then at the end of this week, on January 19th, the Sun will enter Aquarius. And as soon as the Sun enters into Aquarius, it is making a conjunction with Pluto. So let's look at some of this energy we have. First of all, Venus squaring Jupiter. So Venus is in Pisces, and it's making a square aspect with Jupiter in Gemini. So this transit of Venus squaring Jupiter. A square is a challenging energy. These two planets and two signs need to try to find some kind of compromise and work together, but they have differing points of view of how they should be going about things, right? Jupiter is expansive and it wants growth and more of whatever it touches. And Venus is the planet of desire and beauty. So both of these planets are considered benefic. So both of the benefic planets are entangled in a square aspect, which is complicated because both of these planets want to bring you blessings, but since they're in a square aspect, maybe the way that those two planets are bringing you blessings is conflicting with each other a little bit. Jupiter is bringing us blessings through the sign of Gemini, which is the sign of curiosity and knowledge and communication. We have a lot of information flying at us every day, a lot of opinions, a lot of words and news, and it's a little bit overwhelming. Jupiter in Gemini is in detriment. It's also retrograde, so it's not at its strongest point right now. So the blessings that Jupiter is trying to give us through Gemini, not always the greatest thing, or not always being received in the best way. Too much of something is not always better. And so Jupiter just likes to make everything bigger and more. And in Gemini, too much knowledge, too much information, too many opinions, too many people talking at once is not necessarily a good thing. Thank you, Jupiter. And this is squaring with Venus in Pisces, who wants to bless us with the beauty of intuition and feeling and just trusting our vibes, right? But it's really hard to just trust our vibes when we have 10,000 different opinions screeching at us through social media or whatever. So there's potential for optimism here because Venus is helping us maybe feel a little good about some things, at least. Maybe we can find something pleasant because of Venus being in Pisces. But then there's also a risk for indulgence because Venus in Pisces is like, let's just focus on what feels good. And Jupiter says, yes, let's do that and make it even bigger and go all the way. And so we have this potential for not quite seeing things the way they actually are, overindulging in the senses, or being overly optimistic or overly like not quite caring about the right things, if that makes sense. So this is a challenging energy to work around. We are having this tension that can lead to unrealistic expectations or overindulgence or a tendency to maybe overcommit when it comes to relationships or finances or ideas. So this connection between Venus and Jupiter can feel very good, but what it is encouraging us to do or the outcome of that is not necessarily beneficial for us. We have to be mindful and pay attention. So this transit can bring some generosity and enthusiasm and this potential for joy and feeling good. And it also can bring up a tendency to just overdo things or to not think that something important is that important. So you're just going to put it off and not worry about it. And then later that can come and bite you in the butt. So the lesson of Venus squaring Jupiter is to find balance. We want to enjoy life's pleasures and opportunities, but we also want to remain mindful of our limits and our responsibilities. So it's a time for expressing gratitude and appreciating abundance and appreciating the good things that we have, which can help us fight the feelings of being overwhelmed by all of that Jupiter stuff and all of the news that's very overwhelming. So, like, focus in on what's good, but don't focus on what's good so much that you are avoiding your responsibilities or not taking care of things that need to be taken care of. So you have to have this balance and discernment. You want to avoid overextending your resources or straining your relationships or overindulging in your senses. So that aspect is ongoing through the next few days. It's really, really at its peak on January 14th. It's been going on for the past week or so, but it's really like hitting it today and tomorrow. And then we also have this energy of the sun opposition to Mars. So the sun in Capricorn and Mars retrograde has re-entered Cancer, and Cancer is the opposite sign to Capricorn. And Mars is in the end of Cancer because it just came back to Cancer, and then the sun is at the very end of Capricorn. So these are making an opposition this week, which will be exact on January 15th. So the sun opposition Mars is bringing some heightened tension and energy and potential conflict. So that sun is your personal will and Mars is assertive action. And these are in opposing signs. The way that Capricorn wants to do things is different than how Cancer wants to do things. So if the sun represents our vitality and our identity and our purpose, and Mars symbolizes our drive and our ambition and aggression, then when these two forces like oppose each other, there can be struggles relating to self-expression and like confrontation. So there's something at odds with the way that you're expressing yourself that is maybe not helping other people feel safe or appreciated, right? sometimes if we come across overly assertive with that Capricorn power, it can maybe not be doing enough to acknowledge the emotional needs of the people on a level of like what Cancer energy is asking for. And again, Mars in Cancer is in detriment and it's in retrograde. So Mars is trying to teach us lessons about Cancer. It's about managing our emotions and being aware of our big feelings and how we are reactive to our feelings. And these ways that we sometimes react defensively when we feel hurt or upset is maybe sometimes counterintuitive or not the best way to manage this energy, right? Mars is the warrior energy, and a warrior needs to stay cool-headed and somewhat detached from their emotions. And Cancer, Mars in Cancer is trying to figure out how can I acknowledge my emotions and still be an efficient warrior. So we're learning about how to manage our emotions in a responsible way. We're learning about our own impulses and reactiveness when we are emotionally activated or triggered, and then trying to balance that with the sun in Capricorn, which is about like, hey, I just have work to do. I need to get this stuff done. I need to focus on my long-term goals. I need to be a good leader or mature and responsible at the same time that I'm trying to navigate this inner emotional stuff with Mars in Cancer. So we're going to have this energy of maybe feeling challenged, impatient, confrontational, or having other people feel impatient and confrontational with us, feeling at odds with others, not quite knowing how to take care of your own emotions and the feelings of other people. And so we're going to have to practice awareness of how our assertiveness is expressed and use caution around acting impulsively or watching that we're not letting anger and impulse dominate our interactions. So, this lesson of the sun opposite Mars is to channel this heightened energy constructively and use it to help us overcome our obstacles rather than spiral out in resistance or frustration. So, we're really going to need to turn up the patience and the emotional management skills and try to balance our assertiveness with diplomacy and compassion and reflect on how our personal goals can align with the needs of others instead of like conflicting with the needs of others. So that's a big energy we have going on all through this week while the sun is in the very end of Capricorn and Mars is in the end of Cancer. So then the other thing that we have going on this week that's kind of challenging is this Venus-Saturn conjunction. So Venus in Pisces is coming into a conjunction with Saturn in Pisces, and that conjunction will be exact on January 18th. So that's this Saturday. So Venus again governs love, beauty, harmony, and desire. And Saturn represents discipline and structure and long-term goals. And so these two planets are meeting together, but they have very different ways of going about things. But they're both in the sign of Pisces, so they have a similar goal or desire. They just have to figure out like how to work together. So Venus wants us to like connect with others in this loving, beautiful, harmonious way. And then Saturn being about responsibility and structure. So maybe there's a focus on commitment and responsibility and stability in our relationships. But it's not just limited to our relationships. This Venus is connected to all of our desires, the things that we desire to make us feel good. So our finances and our personal values, our connection with anything that helps us feel good. Like Saturn is reminding us, like, hey, we have to be responsible, and how can we be committed to these things to bring structure and discipline so that we're not overindulging, right? So that we're not irresponsibly indulging in our feel good energy. So this conjunction is going to possibly highlight the need to assess the strength and durability of the things in our life that we enjoy. If there is something you enjoy, this is a Venus thing. And Saturn says, how durable is this? Like, how long is this going to last? How can I make this thing that I love and enjoy last longer, right? And be stronger so that it's durable and able to last through whatever problems might come up. So, on a very simple way of thinking about it, it's like we have food that we like, so we keep it in the refrigerator so that it lasts longer and doesn't spoil as quickly, right? That's kind of like just a really simple metaphor for like, oh, here's something that I enjoy. I don't want to eat it all at once because I'll make myself sick if I overindulge. But if I just leave it on the counter, it's going to go bad and make me sick when I eat it because it wasn't preserved properly. So Saturn is like, hey, well, we should put it in a container and keep it in the fridge, and then we can enjoy that indulgence of the thing that we enjoy, we like, that thing that brings us pleasure in a few days, later down the road. So on a bigger, like, that is like one small little metaphor, but like, okay, you enjoy your relationship. What are you doing to help that relationship last longer? What are you doing to provide that relationship with more strength and resilience so that it can get through the hard times and not just crumble at the first conflict, right? So we want to assess Venus, what is having me feel good? Saturn, how can I be responsible and create more resilience and durability with this thing that feels good? And then finally, both of these are in Pisces, so there is an element of this is about our emotions and our connection with our feelings and our intuition, as well as with our spirituality. So, what part of our spirituality is helping us feel good, and how can I bring more strength and durability or discipline or commitment to my spiritual practices? Or in what way is my relationship fulfilling a spiritual need? Or how can I bring a spiritual component into my relationships and then create something that is durable and strong in my relationships, or whatever it is that is bringing us pleasure, right? So while Saturn's presence can feel restrictive or sobering, the lesson of Venus conjunct Saturn is to build strong and lasting foundations for our pleasure based on mutual respect, loyalty, and practicality. So during this week, we want to be able to commit to meaningful connections, make thoughtful financial plans, think about how we're saving our money. Again, it kind of relates to this energy here of finding that balance of knowing what to save for, but letting yourself spend a little bit once in a while so that you're not just miserable and miserly. So we want to make thoughtful financial plans and think about our resources. And we also want to practice practicality and like that Saturn energy of responsibility, but also that Venus energy of enjoyment. We want to find the balance of doing both. All right, so that's pretty much what's going on for this last week of Capricorn season. Again, we are going to have on January 19th, the moon will be in Libra. The sun will enter the sign of Aquarius around noon Pacific time. And then the sun will be making a conjunction with Pluto at that time, and we'll be starting a new week. The sun will be in a different sign. The energy is going to shift a little bit. So hopefully I will have another update for you at that time. I'm working on creating that update. If you want to follow along with my astrology updates, the written version is on my Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/HestiasMuse. If you want to join the Patreon, there is a free tier, and then there are some paid tiers with additional stuff for you. And then if you want to contact me for a reading, I do astrology readings and I do some tarot readings also. You can find me at www.hestiasmuse.net. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.